You guys, I messed up. Last night, I finished editing this video that I'm going to film right now, and I deleted it on accident. I deleted everything. Everything. I'm taking this as an opportunity to convey my message more clearly and more concisely. Hopefully in less than 30 minutes, because last time I filmed it was 30 minutes long. So, let's get started. Today's video is going to be on my mental health journey. My family has a history of anxiety and depression, I would say. I always thought, when I was younger, I didn't have any issues. I didn't have any of those problems. I wasn't really an anxious person, probably because of theater. I took a lot of theater classes when I was younger, which really helped get me out of my shell and help my social skills. I didn't think that I was going to have any of those problems, like how my older sister and my younger sister have, anxiety or depression problems. I never really was that sort of way. And I think that I really held on to that a little bit too hard. And I will say quickly that the relationship that me and my family had with food wasn't necessarily a healthy one. We didn't eat really healthy. It was just the typical American diet, we just had Taco Tuesday and salads on the side maybe, and my mom wouldn't force you to eat your salad or your vegetables or anything like that, but I wasn't really one to push it to the side by any means. Whatever was on my plate, I was gonna eat it. But anyway, when I hit middle school, I kind of shot straight up out the ground like a tree. So I was growing a lot, I smelled really bad, we all go through the puberty phase where it's you're not having a good time. But I grew a good 6 inches in that 2 or 3 years the 3 years that I was in middle school. And so I was really I was hunching over a lot because all my friends were shorter than me. All the boys were shorter than me, which was huge for me. That was a huge issue for me. And whenever I saw a tall boy, it was immediate love. I was oh my gosh, I'm in love. He's taller than me. So I felt really embarrassed in those times. There was a lot of embarrassing moments when I was in middle school that I don't even like to look back on, and I'm sure nobody likes to look back on middle school for the same reason. I never really thought that I was gonna have any of those problems. I would get kind of angry, but that was sort of it. It was never really bad until high school. And in high school, there was this language that we all adopted that was sort of a self-shaming type of culture. It was disguised self-hate. And we would say things well, I'm just the worst, so of course this happened to me. Or, I'm just ugly, lol, it's fine. Or I'm just fat or whatever. It's nobody, that was just huge, you know what I mean? And I know that whoever's my age, and let me know otherwise, because if you're not my age, I don't know if this is the case for you. I'm 21. Was that always a middle school and high school thing? The self-shame, the cloud of guilt and despair that went over everybody's head? Ooh, pardon. Because for me, it was large and in charge, but I put on a good front. I put on a face. I was really good at that because of theater. Again, I was really good at pretending it was not a big deal. Fake it till you make it, you know what I mean? That came in high school. Just because I didn't want people to know that I felt that way, really. And I think everybody did the same kind of thing. So in high school, I had a friend. And let me just quickly say that I'm not trying to blame any of my issues on anybody, because it was all me, and I know that whatever happened in my head, that was me. It wasn't anybody else that was making me feel any type of way. So if I say that, just take that with a grain of salt, because it was just how I was feeling, and this is just my story. This is just sort of what I feel happened to me. I had a friend who would always call herself fat. And she was smaller than me, so then there was me, and I was sitting here well, if she's fat, which I knew that she was not, I was trying to get her to see that all the time. I was sort of a friend who, I just wanted to help. I always wanted to help, and she made me really, really frustrated, because she would never accept me saying that she wasn't fat or that she was beautiful or anything like that. She was shut up, I don't even, whatever. This is just from what I remember, and I'm sorry if you're watching this. I do love you, and I hope you're doing okay. But that was hard because she was my best friend. I was hanging out with her all the time, every day, I would say. And this was the same thing every day. And there were times when we'd be eating dinner with her family, and she would get up halfway through, go to the bathroom, and I feel like I knew what she was doing in the bathroom. She never like blatantly told me that she like had bulimia or anorexia or something like that. She never said that she had an eating disorder. She never said it. And I didn't expect her to say it, but it was prevalent to me, and I think to everybody in her family, and I was nervous for her. It made me scared. And there was a time when she had lost like 20 pounds or something, and I went to the doctor with her, and I saw that she had lost 20 pounds or however much it was, and I got really afraid. But then there was also this pang of jealousy, and that was really weird for me because I had never felt anything like that about myself. Like, I had learned about eating disorders, and I was like, I don't feel that way about myself. But when you hear somebody, your best friend even, telling themselves this every single day, and you know it's not true, but you also know that you take their opinion, you know what I mean? You take their opinion as your own almost. And so it was a hard time because I started craving that. And this is something that happens to a lot of people, I think. We just sort of crave our own demise in a way. And that's hard to say, but your body craves all the emotions, not just happiness and joy and thrill or whatever. It craves everything. It craves anger, which is why when you lose your crap, it feels so good and fiery, you know what I mean? That's how I feel anyway. And I'm working on that because I know that it's a hard feeling to deal with even afterwards. After the fact, you're like, crap. I just said all those things and I didn't mean any of it, and so, you know. But anyway, this is about a different thing. But I was craving my own demise, and for years I sort of went downhill from there. And it wasn't until I didn't tell anybody. I didn't even tell her. I told nobody that I was having these issues, but I was just internalizing everything and becoming more angry and frustrated, and I sort of resented her and blamed her for a lot of things. I was 17. It was senior year. I met Jacob, my now husband, and he made me want to be better for myself and for him, because I knew that he was going to have my children one day, and I knew that if I was going to have children one day, that I needed to get it together. The day that I turned 18, the day, maybe the day after, I signed up for online therapy, and that was the best thing that I had done for myself up until that point. My therapist's name was Leanne. I used Talkspace, which was like the cheapest option, and I was able to put my payments on another card that I had that my mom couldn't see, so my mom didn't have to know about it. Nobody had to know about anything that was happening. I just did it, and I worked with her for 6 months until we went onto the Appalachian Trail, and during those 6 months I really learned positive self-talk and what I talked about in my last video, which was judging my own thoughts and allowing them to go to a different place in my mind where I could say, okay, this isn't Breckly who's thinking this. It's like, I can judge this thought and I can put it elsewhere because it's not true. None of it is true. And that helped me so much. And it didn't necessarily change my relationship with food, because at that point I couldn't necessarily react normally to food. Every time I took a bite, my brain was yelling at me like, why are you doing this? You're fat. You're like, you can't have this. This is bad for you. Blah, blah, whatever it was. And Leanne helped me change those thoughts quite a lot. But it wasn't until I went on the Appalachian Trail that I truly changed the way that I reacted to food. And the Appalachian Trail was amazing, and I'll have a whole other video on that. I'll put some pictures here because it was literally beautiful. But that experience was a beautiful one, and food became fuel and not just something that I had to sit through and endure, and it was just because I had to do it. It was like, this is going to get me to the top of that mountain where I can see this incredible, incredible view, and it's going to be amazing. And And it was amazing, and it also was terrible, but I will make another video about that. I got lots of videos I want to make. Once I got home, I started focusing more on just like kind of recovery and just eating as much as I could, which wasn't necessarily eating healthy, wasn't necessarily, you know, doing my best or whatever, but it was what it was. Then one day we went to my older sister's house, and she started this like her own journey surrounding mental health and kind of a lot of things, just health in general, I would say. And she kind of introduced me to a bunch of conspiracy theories. A lot of them ended up having to do with health and wellness, and they seemed true. They seemed like they could be backed up with evidence, and that's kind of what I was looking for. And because of her, my 2020 goal was to ask more questions. That was my overall resolution for 2020. Ask more questions and then do your own research. That was another very huge one, and I think I encourage everybody to do that. Even if you feel like you really know about something, about anything, do your own research, because whatever anybody says on the internet, even me, like, don't take my word for it. Do your own research. But anyway, there was a book that I ended up getting. I ended up getting a lot of books, and one of them was the one that changed my life and kind of my perspective on health and wellness. And it was this book right here by Dr. Fabrizio Mancini called The Power of Self-Healing. And wow, it's a mind blower. He's an amazing guy. He has a PhD. He's an author, obviously. He is a professor at a college. He's a chiropractor. So he's all about the wellness things, and I very much recommend that you check him out. Although, do your own research, clearly. But this was a part of my research. It was a part of it. And once I read that book, I started eating way better, like right away. It was like the day that I finished that book, modified his grocery list and made it like good for me. And I went to the store and I bought all of the stuff that I needed to make healthy meals for like the next 2 weeks. And so I did that, and that changed so much. Like, I didn't realize that I had as many bowel problems as I did. I didn't even know how much pain I was in every single day, because it was normal. It was just a normal thing for me to go through my day struggling and like kind of getting tummy aches here and there and all of that. I can't do dairy. That's number one for me. Dairy has been huge. Wheat is another thing. I think I'm allergic to it. It gives me canker sores in my throat. Didn't realize that. And there's just so many things. And like, I love avocados now, which I hated. It's a lot. It's a huge journey. But then I also started going to the gym pretty intensely. I was going like every single day since I actually worked at a gym. I worked at Lifetime Fitness. So I had a gym membership, and so I was like, might as well just go after work every day. And I went with my friend Maddie, and that made it really easy, and it kept me accountable. But it was really hard workouts, and it was like I was drained at the end of the day. Even though I felt so good, it was really hard, so I really fell away from that. I don't even go to the gym at all right now, which, hit me up about gym memberships. Let me know in the comments what gym you guys go to that you recommend. I would love to know. I have a Planet Fitness by my house. I'm thinking I'm going with that. As for today, I have, you know, a super busy mind right now. Not a very busy body, as I said, but I am working every single day to balance my 3 pillars of health that I learned from Dr. Fab's book and from 3 other books that I read. They have very similar things that they said. There's the physical health, the emotional health, and the spiritual health. And all 3 of these things are entirely connected. They help each other and they hurt each other. So if your mental health isn't aligned, if you're stressed all the time, if your body's in fight or flight, your body is going to show that somewhere. It's going to have some kind of symptom. For me, it was like, that was my stomach pain, it's my back pain, I used to get migraines, all the things. And sometimes it is outside factors. Sometimes you're like, you broke something, and so then it's weird, and that's okay too. But if you have your emotional and spiritual health sort of in alignment, which I can talk about these things in other videos as well, because this is a whole concept that I love, then your physical health will be in aligned as well, all 3 of the things. And I am working to align those and balance those, so yeah. I'm really glad that I was able to get through that a little quicker. This has only been going for 16 minutes, so that's really great. I'm sorry if I just like busted through it and didn't talk about everything that I wanted to, but I think that I did. I hit all my points, so thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope that I can, you know, reach out and touch your heart with my story, and I would love to hear your stories as well. So if you want to leave those in the comments below, I would love to hear about them. If you have any questions for me or things that you want me to talk about in other videos, I would love to hear those as well. As always, spread peace and love and joy, and have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you back here in the next video. Thanks, guys.